Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's edition of Learning Power Up Bite-Sized PL for the Busy Educator. I'm so thankful that you guys are giving me 15 minutes out of your day to either join me live or to watch the recording. I know you guys are super busy, so thank you. My name is Mackenzie Pettit, and I'm the Innovative Learning Specialist at Bobby Summers Middle School, and today I'm going to be talking to you guys about virtual guided reading. My goal today is to show you how to use some of the tools that you already have at your fingertips to increase engagement and enhance your guided reading lessons. So let's start just by reviewing what we know guided reading is. So what is guided reading? We know that guided reading is targeted small group instruction. It's on a student's instructional level. And typically when we're teaching a guided reading lesson, we focus on before reading, what to do during reading, and after reading. We always have a focus. So my goal today is to give you some tips, some tricks, some tools, and ideas that you probably are already using with your kiddos to increase engagement and to enhance your guided reading lesson. So the first thing that I want to focus on is before reading. So the first idea that I want to share with you is using Jamboard to introduce the vocabulary or whatever the word work focus is for the book that you are sharing with your small group. So if you don't already know how to open up a Jamboard inside Google Meet, you click the three dots at the bottom, select create a whiteboard or select whiteboard, which will create a Jamboard. You can create one from scratch that is going to open up right there for you when you click it, or you can choose to open one up from your Google Drive. And it's really easy for your students to access because it'll put the link in the chat for them. So let's look at what that might look like. So this is just one example in one way that you can use the Jamboard feature inside Google Meet for word work. So this is just an interactive Jamboard. As you can see, I'm dragging. It's a drag and drop activity. It's kind of like a sort where you could do word sorts. Okay, this is just one idea, one way that you can use Jamboard. Super easy. These are just images that I inserted straight from Google. Another tool inside Google Meet that you could use before reading during your guided reading lessons is using the polling feature to introduce reading and to pre-assess whatever the focus is for reading. So you can see over here that I have added a GIF to show you how to open up a poll. You click on the activities feature inside Google Meet, select polls, and you start your poll. You can type your questions and your answers or whatever it is that you want to poll your students on right there. I added some examples on the screen. So one idea, you can poll your students over whether or not they think the book is fiction or nonfiction just by doing their initial book walk and looking at the title and the pictures in the book. I love this feature because it will give you instant data so you can give your students feedback. Another idea is polling your students before reading over what they think the author's purpose is. And I love this feature because you can always go back in the end and you could have your students adjust what they thought their thinking was and prove their answer using text evidence after they read the book. Another idea for before reading is something that we already do with our students when we have them face-to-face. But whatever it is that you're using, whatever book you're using with your students during guided reading, just simply share your screen and just do a book walk with them. You could share your screen and do the book walk and just have a discussion, or you could, if they have access to the book, they could also open the book and do their own book walk, and you could have a discussion, and you could even throw in some polls if you wanted to. All right, let's move on to during reading. So we know that during reading in a guided reading lesson, we need to be able to listen to our students read, to be able to make observations, do running records, or do whatever it is that you need to do. So I've given just 3 options. The first one is just really simple. If you have all of your students on a Google Meet and everyone needs to be reading their book, just simply have everyone whisper read. And when you are ready to listen to one student, just have them speak a little louder. This might even already be something you do with your face-to-face students. The next option is a little bit more advanced, but you could also have everyone, or you could mute everyone in the Google Meet. And then when you are ready to listen to one of your students read, just simply unmute them while everyone else is muted. And then, of course, you would tell your other students to continue to read to themselves or whisper read or whatever it is while you're listening and to your other students and doing your running records or documenting whatever it is that you need to do, or work with a student on whatever it is that you need to do with them. The last feature is probably the most advanced feature. You could use the breakout rooms right in Google Meet to send each student in your small group into their own breakout room. And you could just hop in and out of that while you listen to them read. So I added over to the side just a really quick tutorial on how to create a breakout room inside Google Meet. So you're going to click that same button that you would click for polls and Q&A. And you'll create breakout rooms. You can even put a timer on it. You can tell how many groups you want to have, and you can just drag and drop your kiddos in there and open up those rooms. I would also not to forget to mention to your kiddos, hey, our meet's not over. We'll join back in the main room when we're done. So this is a great way if you really need one-on-one time working or listening to a student read. The last thing that I just want to share with you for daring reading, you have Cami, but you can also download extensions. The specific one that there's a screenshot of at the bottom of the screen is WebPaint, which allows you to annotate or write on your screen. This could be super helpful if you're helping a kid break apart a word, or you need for them to underline something, or whatever it is. So this could be a super powerful tool that you can use with your students during reading. And again, that's an extension. Later on in the presentation, you'll see that I've linked that extension on the resources page for you to download if you're interested in that. All right, let's talk about after reading. And let me give you some ideas of how you can use those built-in features on Google Meet after reading to increase engagement with your students. So we're going to go back to the poll that we talked about earlier. I mentioned this in the beginning. You could take those polling questions that you used with your students in the beginning, because you'll be able to see them over on your Meet, and you can have your students go back to that. You could re-poll them. You could ask them to think about their answers, and again, find that text evidence to prove their thinking. Let's talk about critical writing. We know that our kids really can think critically when they respond to their reading or they critically write. So I have created some examples on Jamboard of how you can use Jamboard for critical writing. So these differ by age. The first one you see is a picture that I attempted to draw on Jamboard using the drawing feature. So this is just an idea. You could have students, you could read a sentence to a student and have them draw what they saw in their head or what they were visualizing or whatever using a Jamboard feature, or you could just simply have them draw other things or write using the drawing tool. Another example that I included here is using the sticky note feature to ask your students questions and to have them respond. This question was just going back to what I discussed earlier, asking maybe they made a prediction and you need to ask your students, was your prediction right or was it wrong, and support your answer. So I also included on here just an idea, a way that you can help scaffold your students' learning by giving them sentence stems. So that a way when they go to type out their answer, or you could even just have them discuss an answer and you could just project that, it would help them develop their ideas a little bit better. The last way that we can use Jamboard after reading for critical thinking, you can create all kinds of graphic organizers on Jamboard. So this specific example is just a Venn diagram, and I just put comparing and contrasting characters. But of course, the sky's the limit on this. There's so many ideas or ways that you can use Venn diagrams and other graphic organizers. But all I did here was I inserted this picture of a Venn diagram from Google, and I moved it to the back, and I added sticky notes. So now again, this could be a discussion. You could type your students' answers, or you could share the link with them and have them come on and collaborate and complete the graphic organizer with you. All right. Over to the side, you will see the last feature that I want to share with you for after reading, which is just the Q&A feature in Google Meet. Just like all of the other things, you'll click that activities button and you will scroll down to Q&A and you can create your questions for your students. This would be great to check for understanding, and then you could even enhance the conversation by just having a discussion after the fact. The last thing that I want to share with you is a virtual guided reading planning template. This planning template will help you when planning your small group. So as you can see, it's broken up into 3 different sections. It matches what we've discussed before, during, and after reading. It even breaks it down by time for you. So you could see there's a word work, phonics, sight word review section for you to plan out whatever it is that you need to plan. There's a section for you to plan out your before reading comprehension and kind of map out what it is you want to do or what questions you want to ask or what tools you want to use. It gives you an option for listening in to your students and to decide how you're going to use meets to do that. And then finally, it gives you a spot to plan what to do after reading. All right. So here are just a few resources that I've included for you. A lot of the things that I shared with you, I got from the TCA Campus Technology Specialist Academy. There was a session on virtual guided reading, and she had a ton of fantastic ideas for conducting virtual guided reading. So if you click that link out to the right, it will take you to her 45-minute presentation, which really goes in depth on some of the things that we've discussed today. The next resource that I have for you is what we just went over. It was that virtual guided reading planning template. Please feel free to use that link and make a copy and make it your own or change and use it however best fits your needs. And then the last link that I have here is the link that will take you to that WebPaint extension. If you want to be able to download that and use that to annotate your screen or whatever it is that you're trying to use with your students during small group. All right. Let's talk about our bonus engagement strategy. It's called TAPN, and this is a great way to increase engagement with your questioning protocols in your class. So the T stands for time, A stands for amount, P is public, N is novelty. So basically tell your students that they're going to have 1 minute and 45 seconds. It really increases excitement and engagement if you have a racing clock going on your board. Next, for A, amount, tell your students that they are going to read the next paragraph and they're going to look for the main point. So the takeaway from this is the workload should be challenging, but not too overwhelming for your students. The P, which is public, tell your students that when they are finished, they are going to need to be prepared to share with a partner or with the entire class. Knowing that they have an audience, an authentic audience that they are going to share with will really increase their level of concern and their engagement. And finally, N stands for novelty. Tell your students that as they read that they're going to highlight any words or phrases that support what they think the main point is. So the takeaway from this, small variations in the academic routine arouses students' interest. All right, guys, we have 2 more upcoming power-ups. The next one is tomorrow. It's attendance with classwork Zoom. And the last one is showing students work with the Google Classroom mobile app. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me, mackenzie.pettit@rcisd.org, or reach out to your campus support person. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope you have a wonderful day.